Hey, it's Rick. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I cast rubber gaskets for my projects. I used to make and sell these FDM printed stash jars on Etsy. I sort of gave that up because this type of printing couldn't produce parts to a standard I liked. I decided to take it to the next level and cast them from resin. Now, in the old jars, I used gaskets I could buy from eBay. These are 2.5mm diameter profile neoprene. You can get them in a variety of sizes. When I created new resin prints to make castings of, I used the same gaskets. The problem I had is that while the mold masters fit together perfectly, once cast, the gasket was too loose. I suspect this was just a problem with shrinkage of both the silicone and the cast resin part. I wasn't about to reprint this over and over, trying to get the gasket to fit. I thought it would be easier to create the molds and cast parts first, and then create the gaskets to fit after. I also have a need for other shaped gaskets like rectangular or square, and I couldn't get those off the shelf. My first attempt was to make resin-printed injection molds. I thought I could load silicone into a syringe and just shoot it in. I even created these double-sided molds so I could print more whenever I wanted, stack them together with a clamp, and create a bunch of gaskets at once. This didn't work out so well. I grossly underestimated the amount of clamping force you need for this. The silicone is so thick and the hydraulic pressure from the syringe is so great that it spreads the two halves of the mold apart and creates a ton of flash, without the silicone even making it all the way around the mold. I created this flat-sided gasket design based on the size of the lid. It's got a single edge that can be selected and moved in or out to increase its contact patch, making it fit more tight or more loose. Also, the narrow contact patch means that the rubber has somewhere to go when the two parts are squished together. I printed these in resin, usually about 15 to 20% smaller than the slot, so they have to stretch over the part. I don't want them too loose. If there's too much slack, they might roll over in the slot and bind up. Then I glue them to a piece of masonite with super thin cyanoacrylate glue, wiping away any excess with a Q-tip. I put an FDM printed mold case around it and use sprue wax to seal it in place with a wax pen. I mix a batch of Smooth-On's Mold Max 30. I find this stuff has no inhibition issues with this 3D resin. The resin I'm using is SirayaTech Blu. Typically, when I pull up the mold, the resin gasket stays stuck to the masonite. This is good because I can make multiple molds of the same gasket. After 24 hours, the mold cures. Then I bake it in the oven at 150 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 hours. If you don't bake it, you might get inhibition issues when casting urethane into it. And that's what happened to me the first time I did this. This Alumilite Flex 60 urethane only has a 4-minute pot life, so you've got to be quick. 1 minute to mix, 1 minute to degas, and then 2 minutes to get it into the syringe and inject it into the mold. You've really only got enough time to do a couple of gaskets before it gels. There may be ways to extend its working time with temperature or chemical retarders, but I haven't gotten into that yet. Once it's in the mold, I squeegee off most of the excess with a stir stick. This part is important, since when it's really thin, this urethane has no strength, so it will be really easy to remove the excess flash. I bake it in the oven for 2 hours at 150 degrees Fahrenheit, as Alumilite recommends. Once you pull it out of the oven, you can use your finger to rub off the excess flash from the top. And that's it. You've got a perfectly functional gasket. This urethane is available in harder and softer versions depending on what you need. This design is easy to modify. If I find that the gasket doesn't fit because maybe it's just a bit too small, I can modify the design, print a new one, make a new mold, and spit out a new gasket in about 24 hours. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you found some of these techniques inspirational. Be sure to hit all the buttons on your way out. Thanks for watching.